All right, so Anthropic just dropped the new Claude Design feature, and I'm gonna break it down in this video. Before we go any further, I'm not just gonna sit here and hype it up and say that this kills Figma, this kills Lovable. I'm gonna break down very simply what this product is, what it isn't, so by the end of this video, you will know if this is right for you. As you can see here, this is a design that I came up with. I basically gave it my brand style guide that I wanted to recreate, and it generated this amazing looking slideshow in just a couple of minutes. All right, so if you haven't been living under a rock and have been on Twitter, you have probably seen that people have been talking about this new design tool from Anthropic that was supposedly releasing, and yes, it did go live today. And this is all powered by the new Claude Opus 4.7 model that dropped yesterday. In a nutshell, this is basically how it works. We can type in a sentence or a specific prompt, and we can get a finished visual. So we just basically write out what we want in plain English. Claude builds this specific design for us, and then we could edit it just by telling it what to change. It is a conversational way for us to design things like presentations, slideshows, landing pages, or even just brand guidelines. So like I said, this is powered by Claude Opus 4.7, which is a new model. This is in research preview for Pro, Max, Team, and Enterprise users. So if you're on the free plan, you probably will not see this, but if you are paying $20 per month, this should be rolled out to you by the end of the day. This is a sample of what our interface looks like. There is this design. They are actually selecting the specific design mode here, the different colors, and we could create things like prototypes, slide decks, landing pages, one-pagers, all these different things we can now generate directly inside of this product. So without further ado, let me show you exactly what this looks like and how you can begin using this right now. So first of all, this is accessible on the Claude web app. So if you just look up claude.ai, you should be able to see this in your account now. We now have this button on the left-hand sidebar. If you don't see the sidebar, click this right here. And on the very bottom, we have a new tool here called Design, and I could go ahead and pull this up. From here, we're gonna see a couple of different things. You could see all of my recent designs. On the left-hand side, you could see our specific prototypes. And if I click on examples right here, we have specific examples in order to give us an idea of what we can do directly inside of the Claude Design tool, as well as we could even click on use this prompt, and it will actually begin spinning up a duplicate of that specific design that we want to recreate. All right, so once we're inside of an actual design project, it's going to look very similar to something like Lovable, Bolt, or Replit, any of these vibe coding tools that we have seen before. On the left-hand side, we basically have our chat mode, as well as we could see everything that is in progress. Here is my prompt. Imagine you're creating a wallpaper for a futuristic operating system, blah, blah, blah. Basically, that is my prompt, and it's going ahead and going through this process. Looks like it's actually writing out this code and will show me the prototype on the right-hand side very soon. Also, we can start with a specific sketch. So if I click on this, it now will take us to this canvas where we could actually go ahead, jot down our different thoughts here. We could even write on this canvas as well. So if we are a creative person and we want to be able to just like write out a design, visualize it, we could then turn that into a working prototype directly inside of this tool. And if I click on design files, you can see we have all of our files inside of this design project directly right here. This is the design that it created. So we have this cool little background wallpaper here that we could maybe add to our landing page, whatever we are creating. We even have liquid metal here. I mean, that's pretty trippy. We have a neon grid. So it generated 5 different versions of like futuristic backgrounds here that we could begin using. This is pretty cool. Obviously, this is just like the first prompt we gave it. So we could go back and forth and refine this if we want. So coming back to our main dashboard inside of Claude Design, we have a couple of different options right here. We can generate a prototype from scratch. As you can see, we would just give this a name. We would select our specific design system, which I already created. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can create a design system based on your pre-existing brand guidelines or your logo, all of those different preferences you have. That could then be reflected into any of the designs you make inside of Claude Design. Next, we could even generate a slideshow here. Again, you could see this AI for non-techie design system that I have created, and that is exactly what I used in order to generate this slideshow here, which I did in one simple prompt. Before I show you how we could either import or create a specific design system or style guide, let's quickly talk about a couple of key features here that really makes this an interesting tool. So we have multimodal AI inputs. So this essentially means we can give Claude multiple different inputs, such as text prompts, specific images, PowerPoint documents, specific code bases, and even like web capture. It could go ahead and pull different information from websites. And once we give those specific inputs, it could then learn our design systems. So like I said, we could point it at our code base or design files that we have pre-existing inside of something like Claude Code, for example. And then every output will then use our colors, fonts, and specific components. So think of these as like design skills if you've ever used Claude before. That way, whenever we generate slideshows, websites, and documents, they all look like it was created by the same brand. And that's because we specified our specific design system directly inside of here. And it's really powerful, so let me show you exactly how to do that. In order to generate a design system, what we are gonna do is come back to our main dashboard here. And from here, we're gonna come over and click on Design Systems. And you can see a couple of different things directly inside of my account. So we have the AI for non-techies design system, which is the one you saw for that specific PowerPoint that I created right here. And then at the bottom, we could create a new one. So let me show you exactly how to do this now. What we are gonna see now is a couple of different things. We can write out the name of our company. We could even link our code that we have on GitHub. So if you have a specific code base you are storing on GitHub, we could pull that information in order to replicate that exact design style. We could also link code from our computer. So if we have any different files that we want to upload, we could do that. We could even upload a Figma file as well. And we could add any fonts, logos, or specific assets that we use. So let me start and just give this design system name. So I'm gonna call this AI for non-techies. Name this whatever you want. This is basically just gonna be the name of your template for this design system. Then if I had any GitHub repo, I could go ahead and link that, but let me just grab some files that I wanna reference. All right, so what I want to replicate is this right here. This is my skills dashboard. This is a specific skill I created inside of Claude Cowork. This automatically adds all of my skills that I have, and I honestly just love the way that this dashboard looks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find this existing HTML file inside of one of the folders I'm working inside of Cowork. I have this titled skill dashboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this into Claude Design. So I'm just going to take this, drag it right here. And just like that, we now have this skill dashboard folder linked, and I could add multiple different folders here or files that I would like to add, but I think this is good for now. And I'm just gonna come here and say, I want to replicate this style that I uploaded. I really like the Anthropic design style, so let's try to recreate that with a similar typography as well as colors. So we're just gonna specify all that information, then I'm gonna come over and click Continue to Generation, click Generate, and apparently this will take about 15 minutes to set this up. All right, so coming back to this did take about 10, 12 minutes or so. Basically, there are a couple of things that need review. So for example, the brand iconography right here, it's basically asking me if I think it looks good or if it needs work. I think that looks good, so let me just move forward with that. Also brand logos, you could see that it's asking for all these different preferences that I have. And we could go back and forth. If we don't like the way they look, I could click on needs work, describe what we prefer, and it will go and change that until it matches exactly what we want it to look like. So for example, this is the slideshow template that it's coming up with for this specific design system. I think that looks absolutely fire. This is super cool. Honestly, I think this is a great tool so far. It's pretty fun to play around with, and I'm excited to see, what you guys think of it. Once all of that is confirmed, we can click on all of these. For our slides, you could see examples of what our call to action looks like. This right here. If there's ever anything we want to change, we could come back to these each individual components and change them. Then if I click on design files, we can see all of our specific assets. We could see our screenshots, basically every single file that we have created directly inside of our folder. One thing I did forget to mention is we could always change the model we want to use. We're going to use Claude Opus 4.7 because this is their newest and greatest model specifically for visual tasks. Next, let me come and just create a landing page with this specific design system we created. So I'm just going to come here and give it this prompt. All right, so I love this design system. I want you to go ahead and craft a landing page for my school community. This is going to be called AI for non-techies, and the call to action is going to be basically to join my school community to get access to all of the Claude skills that I use use every single day, as well as a deeper dive into how to use Claude Code and Claude Cowork if you're running your own business. So just like Lovable, I could just give it a vibe prompt like that using something like Whisper Flow. Then it's gonna begin building out our plan here. So let's come back once it generates this landing page for us. And while we are waiting on a response here, I wanna quickly talk about this. So we could export this information anywhere. So think of Claude as a design system, as you could see in this infographic. It's the thing that's kind of combining all of these other different tools. So anything we design in here is editable in Canva. We could actually generate it into, we could turn it into an actual PowerPoint presentation. We could give it a specific URL for us to view on the web. We could hand it off to Claude Code, all of these different things. Think of Claude Design as the thing that's connecting all of these different design tools. All right, so like 2 minutes later, we now have this landing page that looks really good. So let me go ahead and open this up in a new tab here so we could view what it would look like if somebody's actually on it. I mean, this is really solid. This is following our exact design preference that we gave it. This looks really, really good. Honestly, I'm pretty stoked with this. It's nothing insane, but from a one-shot prompt, this is pretty solid for a landing page. We could obviously continue to go back and forth, critique this as we would like, but I'm gonna show you exactly how we can export this and answer some of the questions you guys probably have after seeing this. So we could share this with a teammate. So as you can see, we could select basically the permission level. So teammates can either view this, they can comment, or they could even edit. So if you have a couple of different people on your team that you want to be able to basically collaborate with, you are able to do that directly inside of this design tool. Now, we could duplicate this as a template. So that way, whenever we create a landing page, it could be in this exact style. And we could even export these in a couple of different ways. We could export it as a PDF, as a PowerPoint. We could send it to Canva, export it as a standalone HTML file, or we can even hand this off to Claude Code. So let me click on this. And from here, all we would do is copy this command, and then it will pick up where we left off inside of Claude Code. All right, I need to set some expectations here because I don't want to make this video just hyping up this product. This is not going to kill Lovable or Cursor. Let me break down exactly why. So first of all, what does this new Claude Design tool do? It builds visual prototypes and mockups. It could generate slide decks and one-pagers like I just showed you, landing page design, static websites that look real, and we could hand off files for your team. But what it won't do is build a full working web app. It won't have a database built in, doesn't handle logins and payments. So to answer your question, if you were asking that, this does not replace Lovable, Bolt, Cursor, Replit, all of those vibe coding platforms because it's not a full vibe coding platform. It's more so just a design tool. So after playing around with this all morning, no fluff, I think this is a really cool tool. It's obviously in preview mode. I think there's some great use cases for it, but it's not going to completely replace a need for something like Lovable or Figma. Before we go, I just want to let you know I do have a school community where I dive very deep into how to use things like Claude Code, Claude Cowork, and now Claude Design. So if you want any of the resources I showed in this video, they will be in my school community, along with the 50+ Claude skills that I use every single day to run my business. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and subscribe for more content like this for free. Cheers. Have a good day.